Dan, is the correction over?
Well, it looks like a lot of it is today. They've got back a lot of the ground that they lost over the last 2 weeks. You know, they had a really good report last night with really strong iPhone sales. So yeah, I think they're coming back a lot to where they were. I think the question a lot of the street is moving on to right now is what are the next catalysts coming forward? Because arguably Apple trades primarily on the iPhone, and with the next iPhone not expected until fall, there might be a question of over the next 6 months, is there going to be any strong catalyst for the stock?
But Dan, looking at those iPhone sales, I mean, look at the bulge in the unit moves, and especially at a time when you know, a lot of these competitors have moved into the iPhone marketplace. Just a remarkable you know, improvement. I mean, we can, you know, you can kind of overlook the iPhone and say like Apple's become kind of a one-trick pony, but boy.
No, it's certainly a strong product for them, and it's the major contributor to their earnings when you break down the numbers. I don't think there's any real worries that the iPhone's going to really lose a lot of market share to competitors. It's clearly a strong product, but when you have a stock where, you know, the main catalyst is a singular product, it's going to rise and fall based on news around that product. And Apple doesn't really say anything until they have a product to announce, and so that's why you might see a lack of some catalysts over the next few months.
Dan, has Apple broken free of the laws of economics? Are they not? Do they not have to answer to the law of large numbers? I mean, this is a big company that seems to grow exponentially no matter how large it gets, which is one reason why the stock is doing so well. I mean, how is this possible? How can they keep doing this? What is it about Apple that keeps them in this trajectory?
Well, the main thing is they picked a market, the smartphone market, that still has a lot of growth in it. And then when you factor in tablets, you know, that's still a pretty young market and still a lot of room to grow there. So they have a really commanding spot in two very key markets that still have a lot of legroom left. Now, as those markets start to mature, I think you'll see some of their rates start to slow. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll lose share. They might, I don't know. But, you know, it's right now there's a lot of upside left in these markets, and they've got a big position in those markets.
Yeah.
And Dan, you know, we've seen the stock just kind of, you know, recover all the ground that it lost over the course of the previous 2 weeks. And I'm watching analysts today bumping up price targets, taking them up to, I mean, we've already heard that, you know, the $1,000 price target being bandied about. Is there a lot more upside for the stock, do you feel?
Well, I think a lot of the street feels that way. You know, most of the targets are at 700 or well above that. So there's a lot of people that think there's plenty of upside. There's, you know, as on a valuation basis, especially when you water out all the cash they have, it's not really that expensive of a stock. But of course, when you look at the, you know, that headline price, $600 a share, people, it's easy to kind of think otherwise. But no, they clearly, there's probably a lot of upside left for them. But like I said, when it trades on, you know, relatively few catalysts, you know, a few product areas, it tends to be somewhat beholden to those areas.
Yeah, here's a question for you guys, and you may not even want to answer it right now, but it's something that occurs to me. Is it a good thing for the stock market to have a company this large be this much of a momentum play? I mean, Apple's the largest company by market cap. Normally, the largest company by market cap does not move. The stock is not this volatile. Is that a good sign for the market? Bob, Dan, anybody who's watching, you want to email me? I want an answer. I'm interested.
Okay, the thing I find remarkable about Apple is that we've gotten into one of those areas where you've got among institutional investors that kind of discipline drift to the point where, you know, if you're a growth fund, Apple is your #1 holding. If you're a value fund, Apple is your #1 holding. If you're a small cap fund, Apple is your #1 holding.
How?
I mean, yeah, these guys are violating all the precepts of what they're doing.
Dan, any last thoughts on that one before we have to cut out?
Well, you know, whether it's healthy for the overall market, it's hard to say, but, you know, they definitely, you know, pick the right markets to play in and get all that upside. So I think for the foreseeable future, they're going to have a major role like we've been seeing, because they have the top space in these markets and still have plenty of upside left.
Well, I still think that there's a Terminator movie in Apple.
Leave it there.